All right. So welcome to the social media workshop here. I'm Professor Janovic, and I teach social media marketing in the CSIT department. And I also teach classes in the business department. I teach business communications and principles of marketing. So the agenda for today here is we're going to do some short introductions and some networking breakout rooms. I'm really a big believer on networking and the power of networking when it comes to getting careers, getting clients, and just learning and getting to know your community. I'll give you an overview of the main platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, just a basic overview because this is only a 2-hour workshop and there's a lot to learn. Social media is a huge thing to learn and it's constantly changing. Now I'm on TikTok trying to figure out, all the TikTok reels and stuff. I'll go over a little bit of the Canva tool and a couple different scheduling tools. I personally use Hootsuite and Buffer, but I have a list of different ones you can choose from. There's a lot out there. I'll give you guys a quick 10-minute break. We'll go over some branding checklist, salary, pricing, and contracts. So if you were to become your own social media entrepreneur, kind of what I do, I'll give you some tips on how to do the salary, pricing, and contracts, how to find your first few clients, and then we'll close with another breakout room. Okay, so now we're going to do a quick introduction of social media. Again, I'm going over very basics here because there's so much to know about social media. So some of the benefits of social media marketing is increased exposure, brand awareness, increased traffic, brand loyalty, marketplace insight, lead generation, which is, we want to make sales, increased thought leadership, time savings, reduced marketing costs. You don't have to worry about creating pieces of mail anymore from direct mail campaigns, stronger customer experiences, owned, earned, and paid media. So there's 3 different types you can choose from there. I don't know about you guys, but when I worked in graphic design and for printing companies, you have to pay the designer to create the mail piece after you come up with the concept. Then you have to get it printed. And if they're where they're different, all your names, the mailing, all the postage. I mean, it was a huge project and cost a ton of money, where social media marketing is like a fraction of the price. So some of the careers for social media marketing, if you're interested in doing social media for another business, instead of going an entrepreneur route, there's so many different job titles now. Every company has a social media department. So we have coordinator, influencer manager, specialist, manager, director, content manager, editor. A lot of these are for bigger companies with bigger teams. Video producer, media writer, digital media manager, paid social media strategist, people who just work only on Facebook ads, bloggers, people who are just writing the blogs, and community managers. So I, for one, do most of these things. I'm not a video person, but I'll do short Instagram stories and reels. I don't do paid social media because that's not my expertise. I do more organic social media. I do write blogs. I work with the community. I work with content. I'm in charge of my own editing, which can be scary, but I do have tools to help me with that. And I do influencer marketing as well. So 9 skills that every social media manager must have these days is community management. You need to be able to talk to people. You can't just talk to people online. You actually have to go out to events to grab the content and to be able to talk to strangers. Being creative, organized, and effective, adaptive to different situations. You have to have good writing skills, especially if you're doing blogs. Sales and customer service, because people are going to be sending you direct messages and asking you questions. You want to help the sales team. You don't want to steer them away. So you need to have some sort of customer service and sales skills, strategy focus, being decisive, and analytics and SEO driven. So lots of skills that you need to know to do social media. So for Facebook, longer, more informative posts that you can link to other businesses or individuals by tagging them. Sometimes this feature doesn't work good on a mobile device. It can be a little finicky. So I always recommend tagging people from a desktop or a laptop computer. You can share articles easily, share other posts with a quick little share button. Multiple photos look good because you can actually create albums in photo albums in Facebook. So that works out great. Whereas Instagram, it looks a little cleaner if you only post one photo at a time. So you don't use that many hashtags with Facebook. In fact, most posts don't have any hashtags. But if you want, you can use 1 to 4 hashtags, but you want it to be more specific. So instead of using something very generic like Oceanside, you would use something more specific like Oceanside Heart Walk, which is like for a specific event or a specific campaign. Creating events in Facebook, it's a great way to get people involved. You can invite people easily to your event, and you can share the events in multiple feeds, pages, and groups. Creating public and private groups. I'm not huge on Facebook, but I'm huge in Facebook groups because people tend to share and express and engage more in a smaller group instead of on the big old Facebook feed where everyone can see it. So I've become very successful in groups. It's a great way to show your domain expertise, to engage with people, to create relationships, digital relationships, and to move them, into in-person relationships. So here's an example of a Facebook post here. You're tagging 2 companies, you have a good quality photo, and you're using only 3 hashtags. Very simple, short and sweet. Facebook Messenger. So sometimes it's best to take conversations offline and continue it privately. And I always use the rule of thirds. After 3 communications, you want to move it to offline. So, hey, let's take this offline. You don't want to like bust up someone's post and have stuff all over the place, especially if it's a customer service post. You want to be able to take it offline. I recommend posting 3 to 5 times a week on Facebook, unless you have really good content and you are able to post once a day or twice a day. You don't want to spam your people's feeds. Again, Facebook groups, building relationships, gaining trust, showing domain expertise. So an example of that is I'm in different social media groups, and I actually learn a lot in these social media groups on what other people are doing. I'm also in marketing professor groups. So we kind of share and collaborate on ideas on how to engage our students. My UltraBuds running group, very engaged in there. It's where I do a lot of promotions for my running companies. But since I've already have the trust of this small group, when I tell them of a certain product or a certain race they should sign up for, they listen to me, but it's taken years for me to get to that level to have, over 1,000 people listen to me. It doesn't just happen overnight. Short or long. So now we're moving on to Instagram here. It's more, you can do short posts or long posts, but you want to have a caption. I see some people post on Instagram with nothing. You want to have something in there, at least a sentence. You can't link to posts in an actual Instagram post, but you can put a link in your bio to click on. That's clickable. So don't even bother putting that's where you see people put like link in bio, because you can't really click on the post. You have to go to the link. You can have up to 30 hashtags, specific or general. So you can use that Oceanside, and you can use Oceanside Heart Walk. You don't have to use 30 hashtags, but I recommend using as most as you can. You research the hashtags ahead of time to make sure they're applicable. You can tag companies and individuals, and then they can reshare your stuff. I always recommend one good quality photo instead of putting a bunch. That's what Instagram stories and reels are for, if you want to do a bunch of photos. And only occasionally do I use a collage, because it kind of makes it look a little cluttered when you use collages in Instagram. So here's an example of a post that Ingingy did for me. This is me. I'm actually a sock model, a toe sock model, which is very funny. When I tell people that, they think I'm joking, but it's true. So Ingingy is a toe sock that they make, and I'm a toe sock model. So this was a post they did. Since they're a huge company with already a large amount of followers, they don't really need to use that many hashtags. So they have their set, less than 5 that they use. So this is their post. And some people want to put comments, the hashtags in the comment instead of in the actual post. That's totally okay. You can do either way. There's no research proving that one works better than the other. So Instagram also has what we call Instagram stories. And this is great for if you're at events, or if you're an influencer and you have an all day thing. Maybe you're a company that produces a product and you want to show a day behind the scenes, or any campaign you're working on. Vertical photos work best for IG stories, but horizontal photos work better for the actual posts here. See how this is more square. Stories disappear after 24 hours, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, just depends. There's a lot of different stickers and features and music and tagging and fonts. There's a whole ton of stuff for Instagram stories. I could probably do a 2-hour workshop just on Instagram stories because there's so much involved in it. You can save your stories to your profile page before they expire in 24 hours, and you can also download them for later use. Another great thing with Instagram stories, if you're using influencers, ambassadors, you can have them do IG takeovers. So if you're collaborating with another business, maybe you're a restaurant and you're collaborating with a brewery and it's a famous brewer, you can have that brewer do an IG takeover of your restaurant feed and have them take over. So it's not necessarily just for athletes. If you're creative, you can do it for anything. Maybe it's a famous dog person who owns a really cool dog and they take over a veterinarian Instagram for the day. So definitely can be creative. With Instagram, you can post more. I recommend 4 to 8 times a week. Unless you have good content, you can post even more. On my page, I try to post twice a day just because I have that much content and I'm very active out and about doing things for clients. And I just have so much to promote right now. So I do about 2 a day. A lot of pictures you're taking though. So good thing for the smartphones. Here's an example of Nathan Hydration. This is a client that I work with. So they have their page here. They have their link. A hot link is what we call it. They have their highlights here. So if they want to save any Instagram stories, they save them here, and they've created like really cool icons to go with their branding. So that's a really good example of how to do a profile page for your Instagram. So Twitter is very short post. I want to say it's 140 characters or less. You can share other content easily. You can share articles, multiple photos, 3 to 6 hashtags. Both specific and general. Not that many hashtags in Twitter because of the short character count, 140 characters. So it really just depends if you have a lot to say or not. You may only have room to I just said that. Great for engaging during events. I found Twitter very useful when I'm at conferences or conventions, trade shows, because you're at events and every little booth or company will have a hashtag they're using. The conference itself will have a hashtag they're using. A lot of the guest speakers will have a hashtag they're using. So if you're going, say you're doing social media and you're doing it for the Natural Products Expo, where it's all organic food and organic drinks, and you go out there and you just start tweeting and seeing what's going on. People are going to tweet to the conference hashtag. You can say, hey, this person's giving away this, or come meet this person, or this guest speaker is about to talk. And you can really engage with people. You can also use it for sporting events. A lot of people use Twitter for sporting events and any other type of events out there, winery events, beer festivals, running events, anything you can think of. I'm sure Miracosta does it for their ceremonies when they have commencement. So here's a Twitter post, short and sweet, 3 hashtags and 3 sentences and a graphic. So done. Gives value to the audience in 2 or 3 sentences. Twitter chats is another feature that people create. One can research the one that fits your demographic and industry. You can Google Twitter chats. Maybe there's a veterinarian who has a Twitter chat that asks questions for people who have dog questions, and it can go out to all the dog lovers. Maybe the Pit Bull Rescue has a Twitter chat where they give education on the Pit Bull breeds and which dogs are available for adoption. A dentist could do the same thing. I was involved in a Twitter chat as a participant for a promotions company, and I learned a ton every week about different types of promotions and marketing. It was a PR agency, and they would have a Twitter chat once a week, and I would join in, I would learn from them, and then I would engage and talk to other people in the marketing space, and I would make connections that way, and then you connect with them on LinkedIn, and it just goes from there. So you can set up your own Twitter chat, or you can be a participant in one and learn from the experts. So best practices for social media: always try to stay away from religion, politics, and controversial issues. You're never going to make everyone happy. So that's why it's just best to kind of stay away. Be careful during the holidays of using certain words like Christmas or Easter. You know, you would say happy holidays instead, or happy spring break. There's different ways to get around it without, upsetting a certain type of demographic. Share content not only promoting your brand, but relevant content. So if you have a business account and a personal account, you want to be really careful that you're not posting personal stuff on your business account, right? If you're a restaurant and you're posting things about, I don't know, you at the beach or you going bowling, it doesn't go with your brand. You got to make sure you're always on brand with your company. So if you look at my Instagram, it's all running, and that's really all I post. I don't post anything about family. Very seldom do I post anything about family. It's all about running brands and school stuff here and there, but it's mostly toward my demographic and towards my brand. So even though it's personal accounts, nothing on social media for me is personal. I don't know half the people who are my Facebook friends. It's work for me. It's business for me. And that's really hard for a lot of people to make that, distinction there. And it was hard for me too, to go from my personal photos that I'm posting on Instagram to now it's just work photos. So monitor your engagement, respond to others, and always keep it professional. Instagram and Facebook and Twitter have great analytics that are free. When you purchase third-party software to schedule, which I'll go over next, they come with a certain amount of analytics and reports as well. So it just depends how much you want to analyze. Always ask questions for people in your post. People love to chime in. They love to answer. You can use polls in group just to make them feel like they're part of your company. So for an example, in my Ultrabuds group in Facebook, whenever I order new hats, they come in like all these different colors, or whenever I order new hoodies or shirts or anything, retail items, I'll do a poll like, hey, what are the top colors that people want to see in these hats? Or, have people choose if you have a certain product or design, or what kind of service, what problem are you having right now? And you list like 3. And then you try to provide the solution to that problem. So it's a great way to get market research is through the polls. And they work best in groups, not on your main feed. On your main feed, you can only put 2 options. In groups, you can put multiple options. Branding and consistency. So you want to use the same fonts, colors, and high quality logos on all of your platforms, including your website. Use the same templates for all your graphics. So make sure branding's on point. Always create event Facebook covers or high quality images for those Facebook events. It's kind of like this size here. Description, bios, and hashtags must be consistent. You don't want different hashtags all over the place. You want to have your standard hashtags. Be consistent when posting. So even if you're posting like 2 times a week, make sure that you're consistent. Don't post for like 3 weeks straight and then drop off for like a month. You're going to lose a ton of followers. You want to make sure you're being consistent. I always recommend when people first start getting into social media to choose just like maybe 2 channels at first and get really good at those. And then if you have time, add a 3rd channel, add a 4th channel, but don't start with like 4 or 5 channels and then you get overwhelmed and you're not posting on any of them. So get good at like 2 first and then expand from there. So the channels I'm primarily on are Facebook and Instagram, because that's where my demographic is. And that's where I spend the most of my time. And that's where I do my most influencing. My 3rd channel that I'm on a lot is LinkedIn for all my professional people. Be aware of the time you post, and you want to test it. Are your followers reviewing your stuff more in the morning time, lunchtime, or after work time? So you want to make sure you test that out. I know when I post anything on Saturdays before 2 p.m., no one looks at it because they're out running and then they go out and eat. So my demographic, I got to make sure Saturdays it's got to be in the later afternoon. So here's kind of an example of an Instagram page with graphics, and you can see how it's on branding here, and it's all good quality photos. And these are all photos taken with a smartphone. They're not like, you don't have to get anything fancy for this. Your iPhone works great. So for graphic design, I'm going to go over shortly here, Canva. It's a great tool. If you have the time, it's always nice to learn the Adobe Suite for MiraCosta students. This is actually free for students while you're a student. So take advantage of that. The Adobe Suite includes the top 3 programs are Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. So Photoshop is used to edit your photos. Illustrator is used for logos and vector files. And InDesign is the layout program where you lay out your Photoshop files, your Illustrate files, vector files, and all that. So it's like a layout program, like where you lay out your business cards, your flyer, anything like that. Canva is a free tool. There's a paid version as well. to make these quick turnaround graphics, designs, logos, business cards, anything with using their already made templates. So it makes it pretty nice. You can design anything here. I use it for Facebook, Instagram posts, Facebook covers. Everything's already sized for you if it has to do with social media. You can also make your logos, your business cards, posters, flyers. You can send them direct to print. You can download different file types like PNG, JPEG, PDF. So if you haven't used Canva, please mess with it. You also get a certain amount of stock photos for free. And if you have a paid version, you get it even more for part of your package. So I actually have the lowest tier paid version, and I get a ton of stock photos that I can use for creating multiple different things. Here's kind of just a screenshot here. So say you wanted a poster for something, you can search different templates. You can put in here gym poster, and a bunch of gym posters will come up. So these are all templates here. Say you like these colors in this template, but it has nothing to do with the gym. It has to do with the winery. So you would just change the font, change the images, and you're all set to go. You know, or maybe you want to just change the color. You like this, but you're just changing out the photos, or you're just changing out the colors. It's really easy to use. They have tutorials in here. I make all my students learn Canva here at Miracosta. So here's a coupon I made real quick. This is a Twitter cover header. These are just small little logos that people made. Instagram posts. So this is like, the only thing that changes in this Instagram post is just the title here. Same thing with this one. It's just the question or the title. It's the same graphic template. Business cards, super easy. This was a project that a student made for a class, and she made it in Canva. Okay, so that's Canva. Again, I know I'm going through everything real quick, but it's just a 2-hour workshop, so I'm trying to fit it all in. We will also be sending you guys these slides so you can review them more in detail. So the next tool I want to share with you is scheduling tools. So you say, great, I have all these social media posts. Like, I'm busy though. I can't just remember every morning at 10 a.m. at 7 a.m. to do a post. Well, that's why they have scheduling tools for you. I recommend Hootsuite or Buffer. They're kind of the easiest to learn. There's free versions for both of them. Some of them are inexpensive. Some of them are very expensive. It just depends if you're a big agency, you're a one-time person. It depends how many accounts you need to be linked to this. So there's Hootsuite. These are just some top ones here, but you can Google any of them. Hootsuite, Sprinkler, Sprout Social, Buffer, Later, and Trello are kind of like the top names. So with Hootsuite, you can create and schedule your posts ahead of time. So with my clients, I schedule all their posts 2 weeks in advance. And if I know I'm going to be traveling to an event, or maybe it's finals week and I know I'm going to be helping students a lot, I might schedule 3 weeks in advance if I have the content already from the clients, which sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. So craft new posts and schedule multiple social networks at the same time. So you do it all at once. You can manage all your channels, get an overview of all your social media channels, and monitor your posts and messages. So you can monitor everything just from one app. You can plan upcoming campaigns. So you can view upcoming scheduled content, map out campaigns, fill content, and collaborate in real time. So it's pretty nifty, all these different scheduling tools. They didn't used to always be like this. So they've advanced a lot. So here's kind of a dashboard here of Hootsuite. And I have all these different accounts here, and you see you can schedule all your posts in advance. Here's a different view, more of a calendar view here. So
Isabella?
Yes.
Somebody has a question.
Oh, yeah.
Once you schedule, can you update contact if needed?
Yes, if it hasn't posted yet, you can edit it. Yep. So say you scheduled something for Friday in 2 days, and your client's like, oh, shoot, the time's different. You can go there and edit it and save it before it posts. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question. All right. So you can stay on top of incoming messages. So messages coming in, if you're have a platform where you're getting a lot of direct messages with customer service questions or whatever, you can stay on top of that. You can analyze your results. So with the paid versions of Hootsuite and other platforms, you can actually get analytics and reports. So say you have a boss or a client who wants to see monthly reports and analytics, they're really easy to create and make. So last time I checked, this was the pricing, but it might have changed. So the free plan is 1 user and you get 5 posts, which is like nothing. Current plan, which I'm on, is 1 user, me, and I get 10 scheduled posts for $29 a month. So I'm kind of about to jump to the next one, but it's a huge price jump here. So I actually might change to buffer, me personally. So it just depends how much you schedule in advance. I actually have a client where I have 2 clients where they already have a buffer account and I just log into their accounts and post on their platforms. So that's another option as well. You don't necessarily have to post all your clients on your platforms. So that's why this feature here kind of works for me, because each customer is different for me. Another customer, I submit all my posts to their marketing department and they do their own scheduling. So every client's kind of different. Okay, we're going to move on here. Before I get to the next item, I just wanted to go over real quick. If you're interested in doing entrepreneurship, starting your own business, these are the top classes that I recommend you take at MiraCosta. So in the business courses, there's Business 120, Introduction to Business, Entrepreneurship and Small Business Management, and Marketing. In the marketing class, you're actually gonna, by the end of the semester, you will have a marketing plan all completed that you'll work on throughout the whole semester. So that's really good resource to have. In the CSIT department, I recommend Social Media for Business. And at the end of that class, you will have a social media marketing plan. So if you take both those classes, you're just all set. So those are the classes I recommend. I think Daria already put a link in the chat to get to more information on those. I'm not sure exactly which ones get you a certificate. You'll have to read the website page, but I highly recommend these courses. So next we're going to go over a branding checklist. I kind of mentioned before how important branding is on your social media platforms, but just so you guys can start thinking of things here, brainstorming your brand. So you want to know who your target demographic is. What is the problem or solution you're trying to solve? What's your messaging? What's your USP or unique selling point for your business, and what's your storytelling? So when I first started my social media company, my target demographic was small businesses and nonprofits just in San Marcos, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't driving all the way around town, because that adds up. Time to drive around and gas, right? There's plenty of small businesses just in San Marcos. And the problem that I found were that these businesses, they knew they needed social media, but they were a business owner and they don't have time to do it themselves. They realize how time consuming it is. They don't have the resources to pay for a full-time staff employee to handle social media, but they know they need it. So that's where I came in as the freelance person. So I worked with budgets when I first started from $250 to $1,000 a month, depending on what they needed throughout the month. Every proposal was custom, depending on how many platforms they wanted, if I was going to be attending events, or if I was able to do all the work from home, and how many posts a week. Would I be providing all the images, or did they have a photographer and videographer I'd be working with who would be supplying me images? So there's lots of little things involved in there. But I was able to solve solutions for these people because they were able to work within their budget. Naming your business. So name is hard. You got to do research on your name. You need to make sure it's a professional brand. You want to research the keywords that go with your branding. So I use the keyword communications because I didn't want it to just be marketing only. I wanted it to be all sorts of communications. So if someone needed me to do a podcast or a blog, there's different type of, or PR work, different types of communications there. You also need to make sure that no one else has that name. And so that when you go to the county office and you submit your business paperwork for a business permit, you got to make sure that no one else has that name. I don't know anyone else who has the name Janovic except my family members that I've met. So I was pretty safe with that. But if you have more of a common last name, you might have an issue with that. Write down potential names, ask around, get feedback from people like, hey, what sounds better? Ask your friends and family. Create an email address, a professional email address that goes with your company. So I recommend paying for a professional email address, one that's connected to your website. So I have a paid Gmail account that's specific for Janovic Communications. And I can add, I think on the account I can have 3 people, 3 different email names. So it just depends on your staff, the different package that you need, the different amount of emails. Maybe you need a customer service, an info, or it's just you. You want to make sure you secure your domain name and your social media profiles. So that might be hard if you have a very generic name. Getting a social media profile, again, I didn't have any issues with my last name, so that was easy for me. Branding components, colors, fonts, logo, graphics, headshots, images, your voice, your bio, your tagline. So my running Instagram page is all about running. I have my tagline, you know, public figure. You only have a certain amount of characters in your Instagram profile here, so you got to make sure you use that space wisely on what you're using. So I had the main points here: social media, professor, ultra runner, OCR. So that's what I'm about. President, janocom.com, so they can click on that link. Professor, the 2 schools. Founder, UltraBuds, it's a hot link to that Instagram page. Running coach to SD Ghosts Runners, it's a, you know, a hot link to that page. Your website. So you want to get your hosting. I personally use GoDaddy. I've been very happy with them, but you know, there's a bunch of different ones out there. It's totally up to you who you want to use. You want to make sure all your social media icons are on your website and easy to find. You can add pages, your about, your services, your contact. It can be very minimal though. You don't have to put a whole bunch of stuff on your website. If you're not good with websites, hire a web person, you know. Some people can make their own websites. GoDaddy has templates, Wix has templates, WordPress has templates, but if it's not your thing, or if it's going to take you too long, it might be better just to hire someone. So I did my website through GoDaddy just because I know how to do this stuff. Here's just a screenshot of services. This is Double Peak Park in San Marcos. So I made sure that the images on my website go with my brand. Your social profiles, be consistent with your names, your photos, URLs, bios, and graphics. It's kind of nice. Once you have one bio, you can copy and paste it to the other platforms. When you're first creating content and you're first getting your social media pages off the ground, it's great to write a couple blogs first for SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization, for those that aren't aware of that. You want to make sure that you have a good library of images to start off with so that you're not scrambling for images later. And this is also something, if you're working with clients, when you first onboard clients, you want to make sure that you have a good library of images and graphics first too. You don't want to be scrambling and asking your client every few days, hey, I need more pictures. I need more pictures. You want a good library to start with. It's great to start with a YouTube video or a Facebook video to introduction. When I first introduced my business, I used Facebook for the video, and then I connected it to Instagram, but it could easily be a YouTube video as well. I personally use YouTube for all my teaching stuff, so I don't use YouTube too much for other things. I just post videos on Facebook and Instagram. Start connecting with people. So you connect with people in person, you get their information. I don't even ask for business cards anymore. When I meet someone in person, I get my phone out and I say, what's your LinkedIn? What's your Instagram handle? That's how I get people's contact. And then I get with them later, you know, a couple of days later and say, hey, it was great to meet you, you know, and you got to make sure you keep that relationship going. So I don't even do business cards. If someone asks me for business cards, I have it, but I'd rather connect with them on Instagram or LinkedIn. It's just quicker and easier. What else we got here? Share content on your social media profile. So you can use tools to create your multimedia for photos, videos, check-ins, just how I was saying, the Canva software. You can use that easily to create graphics and photos. If you have a bunch of photos and you just want to add your logo to it, Canva's great for that. Salary, pricing, and contract. So this is kind of just, you can change this however you want, but just to give you guys an idea and some numbers and maybe like a benchmark of where to start, if you're going to start charging people money, you always want to look what the latest salary is for what you're trying to do. This might be a little old, this slide, but when I looked into this for LinkedIn, it has a good resource called LinkedIn Salary, and you can look up different social media salaries in your area. So in San Diego, these were the different amounts here. So I think this was like 2 years old because I'm pretty sure the minimum wage is higher than $12.50 now. So just to give you guys an idea, it's a great resource to do when applying for jobs or knowing what you're worth as a social media person. Glassdoor is another great resource that I use a lot for these type of things. So social media marketing manager salaries in San Diego, a couple of years ago, it was $70,000. So here's another one here that just shows the median. And then you can put all the three numbers together and kind of figure out, you know, hey, I'm at entry level, I'm at medium level, I'm at senior level. So for packages and pricing, there's four main categories of services when you're doing social media. You have strategy. So you're evaluating the online presence of a brand. You can give feedback on what they're doing right or what they can improve on. And you can create a social media plan for them. So when you're doing strategy here, you're creating the social media plan. You're not actually implementing the plan though. So this is kind of almost like a consulting right here when you do strategy. One-time services, non-recurring services that you can provide to a client, such as graphic creation, profile setup, or blog optimization. I've had clients who have hired me just to set up all their profiles and to get them started, just because they don't have time. They don't want to sit there and fiddle with things. They just want to pay someone else to do it. I've also done strategy as well with people where I just consult and tell them what they need to do and recommendations on how to move forward. Training and consulting. Say you have 4 staff members in your office that could all do social media, but they don't necessarily know how to do it for business. I've gone into vet hospitals before where I sit down with their staff of 4 people and I do quick training sessions on how to do social media for business, and they pay me a fee to do that. So training and consulting is another category, and then done for you where you actually implement and do all the work, production work for them. So there's different types of services. You can do all of them, or you can just do one, whatever you want to do. So ways to tell what type of service is when someone says, will you tell me what to do? That's strategy. Can you fix those things for me? That's a one-time service. Would you mind showing me? That's training. Will you do it for me? That's done for you. So with strategy, it's like getting paid to do an extended interview with a client. That's kind of how I explain it. It doesn't promise that you'll continue working with them. So it's actually a good way to evaluate if the relationship's going to work, because you want to make sure that you can get along with the client, just as easily. So it's kind of a good start to see if that, going to be a good relationship. Wildcard ideas are made fun and allow you to show off your creativity. You can create the perfect pitch. Maybe you do like the client, you do like their branding and their company, and you do a social media plan for them. And then you can sell the pitch like, hey, I can implement all these recommendations for you. Here's my pricing, blah, blah, blah. Depending on your expertise and what the strategy is asking for, you can charge anywhere from $500 to $1,000 one-time fee. Always calculate about how many hours it's going to take you to make this strategy. Say it takes you 10 hours to do this. Okay, well, do you want to get paid $20 an hour? You want to get paid $50 an hour. So you kind of got to decide what you're going to do there. Always get paid up front. Do not get paid after the fact. There are different accounts that you can set up. Intuit QuickBooks is what I use. It's $10 a month. My CPA can log right into it easily. And I can create reports and invoicing, all of that stuff. Always get paid up front so that you're not chasing money later. If it's a big project and maybe you really want the deal, you know the person, take half up front and half later. Graphic designers do this now. And it's not out of the ordinary to take payment up front. If someone says like, oh, I've never heard of that, then that's on them. They haven't heard of that, because it's very often all my clients pay up front, and this is going on for 4 years for me now. I've only had one client question it and they didn't become a client. Like, hey, these are my rules. If you don't like them, I don't need the business that bad, because I don't want to be chasing money later. I want to get paid. If I'm dedicating this time to do work for you, then I want to get paid, right? And everything's legit. There's a business license, a seller's permit. I have my invoicing. It's a professional business. So it's not like I'm asking someone to give me cash under the table or to send me a Venmo, right? So really pick and choose how you're going to do your invoicing system. I recommend talking to your CPA ahead of time before you start collecting money, so that you don't have to change your process later. One-time services could be social branding package. So setting up everything, custom tabs, contests, giveaways. Say they just want you for a 2-month marketing campaign to do some contests and giveaways, single advertising campaign, profile or website optimization. Now, you don't have to offer these services. This is just a choice if you want to do them. Training and consulting. Again, you don't have to offer these services. You could just do all the other stuff. Support for your team and fully implementing recommendations of the strategy, charged by the hour or for a package. One-on-one training, if a package might be a total of 4 one-hour trainings. Recordings are provided. You give them the PowerPoints afterwards. You have email questions, Slack availability, detailed tactical training on platforms designated from strategy. So again, all your choice, it's all customized for you. I have about 3 trainings that I offer. So they're already created for me. I don't have to do any work for them. I just go there and I do the training and I'm done. I don't do any more custom trainings anymore. So it's very cookie cutter what I do, but it's all beginners. Done for you. So different packages could include social media audit. So you do a full audit of all their platforms. Social media strategy, where you grow and engage and invite people to follow the platforms. Monthly reporting, analytics, consulting and coordination calls, monthly or bi-monthly. I have it in my contracts how many meetings we have in person per month, and how many calls we do. So in the beginning, usually with newer clients, you're going to meet with them a lot in the beginning, and then it kind of fades off. So the majority of my clients, it's just email communication, and then we do a Zoom call maybe every 2 months. Like, we just have been working together for so long, we know everything and what to do and what needs to be done.
Isabella?
Yes.
What's Slack availability?
So Slack is a platform channel similar to like email or WhatsApp. Some clients prefer being on Slack, or maybe they have a project management software such as Basecamp, where everyone can collaborate and send messages to each other. There's a lot of them out there. I personally don't use it with my clients, but I've seen clients use it with, other vendors. So you'll want to have your standard communication set with boundaries in your contract. For example, you tell them that you're available during regular business hours, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. They're only allowed to text you after business hours, so nights and weekends, if it's a social media emergency. Because I have had clients text me at 12:30 on a Friday night because they had an idea in their head and said, "Excuse me, that's great, you had a wonderful idea, but you could email that to me instead of texting my phone at 12:30 in the morning on a Friday."
Right.
All these things you learn. And of course, that person didn't even think about it. They're like, "Oh, shoot, super sorry about that." It was the night before a race too. I'll never forget it. I was mad. So yeah, always have your communication boundaries set in your contract. Packages should not include social ads. So if you're doing special ad campaigns, that is a separate piece because that is very time consuming. Content creation. So if you're doing a ton of graphic design work and you're making all these graphics, that's separate than social media management. Daily communication with clients. If they know what they're doing and they have a business plan, you should have a meeting, maybe no more than twice a month, if that, and have everything planned out for the month. There's no reason why you need to communicate daily with the client. Okay. That just means that they're unorganized and they don't know what's going on. Managing, training, or coordinating with the team outside of your calls. So say you're working with a client and they have 2 staff members, and those 2 staff members keep emailing you and calling you and asking you questions. That's beyond, that's outside of your realm. You need to make sure you're charging for that. More than 3 platforms. So third platform could be like a rotating platform. So you need to make sure whatever your contract says, it says exact platforms and the exact amount of posts per platform, because you want to make sure you're getting paid for your time. Sharing the client's content to your profiles. Unless you're in agreement, you do not need to share your client's information, promotions on your personal profiles. I do because it's in my contracts and I'm more of an influencer in the running world, but you guys don't need to do that. So make sure, I'm just sharing these things so that you don't get taken advantage of. And these are all things that I learned and happened to me. So that's why I share them with others so that you guys don't go through this. So again, this is just a benchmark of pricing, basic pricing that I'm going to give you. You can charge more or less depending on your level of expertise with social media marketing. So a basic package for an entry-level strategist is about $400 or $500 a month to create 1 to 5 posts, distribute on 3 platforms weekly, daily engagement, monitoring brand mentions daily, metrics and measurements monthly, and 1 client call a month. So if you're really new and you're getting started, I mean, I went as low as 250 in the beginning for me, as I got started. And then after 6 months, I raised all my prices. And then after a year, I raised all my prices once again. So it really just kind of depends on your niche and who you're using at the beginning. A business package, say for an entry to mid-level strategist, $1,000 a month could get you up to 2 platforms maintained, create 1 to 3 pins. So you're thinking Pinterest, engagement, daily monitoring, social ambassador, reputation management, metrics and measurement, 1 client call a month, overall strategy and results. So that's kind of an example of more of a mid-size package.
There's another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How many clients did you have at first when you first started?
So when I first launched my business, I had 4 clients, and they are all paying different prices, anywhere from $250 to $1,000. And then I ended up with 11 pretty quickly, but they were all small. And then as I grew, I charged more. And then I also decided who I wanted to keep and who I didn't want to keep. So that's kind of the nice thing about being an entrepreneur. And I don't have my clients sign contracts. Sign like 3 month, 6 month, 12-month contracts. I don't do that. It's month to month. They just have to give me 30 days notice if they want to cancel. So there's no pressure both ways, which is nice, because I've had a couple clients that I've kind of fired because they were just such a pain in the butt, and it just, relationship didn't work out. I was doing a lot more for what I was getting paid for, but all great, nice people. There's nothing bad happened or anything like that. So it's definitely all a learning curve. So contracts, freelance per project agreement. I do projects for race directors that they might hire me just for 3 or 4 months to promote their race. And then we don't do it again until next year. So it's a really short project contract. Freelance per month agreement. You can do monthly, 3 months, 6 month, 12 month. It's completely up to you. Consultant services agreement and confidentiality agreement. So there's all these different type of agreements. You can get an attorney involved if you want. You can create your own. It's totally up to you. Here's kind of an example, an agreement of services. It's really basic. I kind of got this off I don't remember exactly where I got it. And then I tweaked it the way I wanted to. And I had my CPA kind of look at it, but I've never had an attorney look at my stuff. So again, it's up to you guys. Finding clients. So when you first find clients, networking, said that a bunch of times now, join networking groups. As students, a lot of the chambers will let you attend their networking groups for free. Take advantage of it. Oceanside is a great one. You just call up the director, email him. His name's Scott Ashton, I think. Yeah. Tell him you're a student from Miracosta, Professor Janovic's your professor. You want to check out an event. Would it be okay if you got comped because you're a student? That's all you need to say. Referrals. Let people know what you're doing. Post it on your social media channels. You never know who's going to see it, who needs your services. Email announcements. If you already have a database already, or if you're starting to create one, send out emails. Let people know. Get that Christmas card email list and send people. You never know who's going to know someone who needs someone. Asking establishments that you're a customer at. Say you have a veterinarian that you really like. Check out their social media and make sure they know, hey, just so you know, I do social media if you guys need help with that. Just the other day, I was at the dog care facility and I had a nice long conversation with them on who does their social media. Your dentist. If you have a certain niche, maybe it's the running store down the street or the gym you work out at. Everyone needs social media, and you never know who's in need of a new person. I have some other examples here: coffee shop, brewery, flower shop, insurance agent, salon, nonprofits, anything. You can respond to ads on Indeed, LinkedIn, and Craigslist, just to go in the search and see who needs a social media person. Reach out to companies that you would love to do social media for. Maybe the Kula, the sunscreen company, you love their product. So you just, start cold calling or try to find an email address, or you just walk into the place, whatever you choose to do. You probably can't walk into places right now with the whole COVID thing. You probably have to email and call. But yeah, cold calling people that you would like to work with. Wanted to share with you guys some basic career tips here. I kind of mentioned the phone thing already a little bit, the boundaries in communication. Also with your phone, your cell phone, your business phone, whatever, however you're going to be communicating with people, make sure that you have a professional voicemail on your phone. When was the last time you checked what your voicemail said? So now's a good time to check what it says and make sure it's professional. How do you answer your phone? Practice how you're going to answer your phone if you're getting a number from an unknown person. Yes, it could be spam, but it can also be a prospect calling you and got your phone number from a website or a business card or where you met them. Be considerate of when you call or text someone. So I told you my story about how my client texted me at 12:30 in the morning. Make sure that you give the same respect to your clients. And you only text them and call them during regular business hours, and that they know not to text or call you outside of business hours. So I actually have it in my contract to do that. So now what's next? We offer a number of certificate programs here at Maricosta College. The Entrepreneurship Certificate of Achievement is a business plan, marketing plan, and financial statements for a proposed business. It's 3 required courses plus 9 elective units. The second certificate is the Social Media for Business certificate, which is a social media marketing plan using multiple platforms to reach his or her audience, 4 required courses plus 6 elective units. And then the Business Quick Startup Certificate of Proficiency, which I highly recommend because you can get a professional business plan with all the supporting startup documentation, and it gets you up and running in 1 semester. So if you're really quick to start a business, I highly recommend that certificate. It's 5 required courses plus 6 elective units.
I'm putting the link to the Business Quick Startup in the chat right
Here you
now,
go.
too.
I'll let you guys look at that just for a second.
There you go.
So those are the 3 main certificates I recommend for you guys. So right now I'm currently teaching marketing, social media for business, and then the spring I'll be teaching social media for business, and I'm also helping students with, I don't know the course number, maybe Daria does, where you do independent study. Like where they do it kind of like an internship. It's through the business department.
Oh, I believe that's either 292 or 299.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in internships or independent study and you need an advisor for that, that is also something I do. The person in charge of that is Mike Green in that department, and he's aware that I'm available. So I'm already advising 1 student, but I do have room for, I think, 2 more. So feel free to talk to Mike Green about all that.
He's in the Career Center.
Career Center, that's where he's at. Yeah, great guy. So we have the internships and Career Center. I love internships because you can really see whether you like something or you don't like something. Like I said, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and then I interned at Tri-City Hospital and I realized I did not want to be a doctor. And I was in the emergency room and everyone was in a bad mood, yelling people. No one was smiling. I'm like, this is a horrible negative atmosphere. Wasn't for me. And I was horrible with chemistry. So internships are great. Find a paid internship, though. There's plenty out there. I always tell people, don't work for free. And I tell businesses too. I'm like, pay your interns, please. You're going to get a lot more out of them if you just pay them. You can afford it. All right. You know, you're helping someone out. So look for the paid internships. Maricosta has a great internships and Career Center. They assist you with resumes, your LinkedIn profiles, which are pretty much your resumes now. You can get course credit with internships and paid internships. So, and everyone needs a social media intern right now. I'm telling you, they are just slammed with social media internships. So go there, visit Mike, tell him I sent you. So that's kind of it for the workshop. I'll be taking any questions now. If people have questions.